Hey guys, Luke Clausen here. One of my favorite ways to fish is with finesse gear, spinning rod. I really like throwing a shaky head worm, drop shots, all kinds of stuff like that. But the setup I use for a shaky head it's a question people ask me quite often. It's kind of a hard answer really because there's so many different sizes of shaky heads, and you're going to be throwing different size worms, different weight heads and stuff. But one really universal rod that I use a lot is an 842. This is an SJR 842 7-foot medium heavy action rod by G Loomis. This one happens to be a Conquest, which is a Shimano G Loomis product they developed together, but it comes in the whole G Loomis brand is that 842. It's just really a great universal spinning rod. It works for tubes and all kinds of small assorted plastics. I'll even throw heavier Ned rigs on it. I throw shaky heads up to a 1/4 ounce on it. A quarter's now getting towards the top of what I like to throw on it, but I don't throw a 1/4 a lot. There's times I'll go with a heavier rod with that, but an 8 3/16, whether it's a full-size worm or a little finesse worm, that 842, again, really universal spinning rod. It's the rod I use for a shaky head most of the time. This is a Shimano Sustain. This is a 2500, and this is an absolutely amazing spinning reel. It's so incredibly smooth. It's smooth and light, and on that I have a 15-pound Seaguar Smackdown braid. I use an 8-pound leader most of the time. This is 8-pound Tatsu. I'll go to 10 or even 12 at times, depending on the watercolor, what I feel like I can get away with, and frankly, how much I want to retie. If the water's fairly dirty, I don't mind going to 12-pound line. I just don't have to retie as much. It doesn't get as a brace. It still has the strength to it. It's fairly clear. The conditions dictate where it's calm and sunny. I'll go to that 8 where there's a little bit less line presence in the water. Tied with an FG knot. That's my combination. I use about an 8-foot leader most of the time. I don't like a really long leader. I don't want it to get down in the spool. You get a lot more wind knots when you get that connection knot down in your spool. So I'll use a 7 to 8-foot leader, and just try to keep it to where a lot of my casting, I'm keeping that leader knot in this section of your rod. In here it's probably more like a 6-foot, 6.5-foot leader. But I want to keep that out of there so you get a lot less wind knots with that. Anyway, that's my setup for a shaky head. I think you can use it for a lot of different things. It's a rod I love for that. That SJR action is fairly parabolic. It loads really well, but yet it's got enough meat behind it that you can drag a lot of fish out. I don't mind swinging 3-pounders in with this spinning rod at all, but still loads really well and skips really well because of that too when you're casting.